Our next speaker is Dr. Mrityunjay Raut sir. Dr. Mrityunjay Raut sir is an assistant professor and associate dean in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at NIT Jamshedpur. He holds a PhD from the Department of Electrical and Electronic Communication Engineering at IIT Kharagpur. His doctoral research focused on efficient deployment of multi-agent mobile wireless sensing system for various coverage problems. Prior to his PhD, Sir has completed his MTech in Electrical Engineering from IIT Roorkee, specializing in measurement and instrumentation. He also holds a BE degree in Electronics and Instrumentation from Berhampur University, Odisha. Throughout his academic journey, Sir has consistently excelled, receiving prestigious accolades such as the Dr. J.C. Mukhopadhyay Medal for the highest CGPA in MTech at Roorkee and the late Srimati Uma Goyal Memorial Cash Prize for the highest CGPA in MTech final year at IIT Roorkee. He was also awarded the GE Foundation Scholar Leader Scholarship for his exceptional academic achievements. His research interests lie in wireless sensor networks, IoT, digital signal processing, and electronics and instrumentation. He has published over 20 research papers, guided 2 PhD dissertations, and supervised 15 MTech dissertations. We welcome you, sir. Give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all.
Afternoon, sir.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Ajay Kumar for giving me the opportunity to speak something about the IoTs and the sensors. Before I start my lecture, all of you know that the basic element for the IoTs or the robotics or industrial automation is sensor. Okay, without sensor we can't do anything. Okay, now what is the basic difference between the traditional sensor and the smart sensor? Nowadays, everywhere we use the smart sensor. What is the basic difference? Smart, only size. What is the meaning of what is the basic difference between smart and intelligent? The person is smart person or this person is intelligent? What is the basic difference? Any idea? The person is said to be a smart person. How?
Sir, intelligence is somehow related to the knowledge he is having.
A smart person has a not knowledge, no knowledge.
सिचुएशन मैप करके वो लोग कुछ कर सकते और इंटेलिजेंसी जो है वो नॉलेज पे ज्यादा फोकस.
Okay. Any other views? Okay. Now I'll discuss what is the basic difference between the smart sensor and the traditional sensor. You know the temperature sensor, then you know the distance sensor, PIR, passive infrared sensor. All sensors. Now my lecture is based on smart sensors. Then we go through the sensor network. Okay, what are the techniques used for the sensor network? That is all of you know that Wi-Fi, Zigbee, Bluetooth for communicating with the sensors, for collecting the data from the sensors. We use some techniques, that is the communication technology, that is Wi-Fi, Zigbee, Bluetooth. Other techniques are there. I will discuss it. Then how the smart sensor and the sensor network is related to the IoT. Nowadays, in our day-to-day life, all of you, we use the IoTs everywhere. In healthcare, we use the IoT. In industry, we use the IoT. In environment monitoring, we use the IoT. Everywhere. What is the basic between the IoT and the internet? Any idea? What is IoT? Internet of Things. What is the meaning of it?
The concept of connecting physical things to the internet. So
that's right. That means we have to equip the physical parameters from the different environment and sent to the internet. And we can access that information from anywhere, everywhere in the world. Okay, that is called the IoT. Now I will discuss what is the smart sensor, then we go through the sensor network, then we relate the sensor network with the IoT. Clear? Now this is the outline of my lecture. That is the introduction and the overview of the IoTs and the sensor network, sensor and transducer. I will discuss what is the basic difference. There are three names are there. Transducer and the transducer. I will discuss what is the basic difference. And the smart sense kind of technology. All of you know that MEMS. This is the technology normally used to manufacture the smart sensors. I will discuss what are the protocol, the sensor networks. These are the network technology. This sensor network in this of the sensor network. Everywhere we use the sensor network. That means nowadays we use in the industrial automation. I'll discuss how it is used. Then Internet of Things, application, and the future scope of the Internet of Things. Now, nowadays, 71% of global business are now gathering IoT data. All of you know that. In next 1 or 2 years, it will be around 90% or 100%. Okay. Now the IoT technology has adopted to the industry. Know that. This slide. That is, we use the healthcare, life science, consumer and the home, building management, energy and utility, industrial manufacturing. I'll discuss one by one for the application. Then I discuss what is sense. S means that is the sensing. That means it will sense the physical parameter. The output may be electrical, may not. Okay, some sensor output is electrical, some sensor here the output is mechanical. Now, how to convert that mechanical to the electrical? We use the circuit. What is the electrical circuit we use? Suppose the sensor output is the mechanical output. How to convert that mechanical output to the electrical output? Okay, that is we use the signal conditioning circuit. Okay. Now, suppose I know English, all of you know the Hindi. Okay, I teach in English, but you can't understand because you know the Hindi. For that, we require to compile. Same thing in the sensor. Suppose sensor output is in millivolt, but the end device required volt. How to convert? We use the amplifier. That amplifier is called the signal conditioning circuit. Similarly, suppose the sensor output is analog. Your end device require the digital output. For that, we require the A to D converter. That means A to D converter is the signal conditioning unit. Similarly, suppose the sensor output is the change in resistance. Now we convert to the voltage. How to convert in the voltage? We use the breeze, that is constant breeze. Okay, this is called the signal conditioning circuit. That means we have to convert the sensor output to the required format or required that means we convert the output of the sensor to the suitable format which is required for the end device. Okay, suppose sensor output is analog, sensor required is the digital. Now we use the some circuit that is called the A to D converter circuit, so that we convert that. That is called the signal conditioning circuit. That means every sensing system has the three components. One is the sensor, then signal conditioning device, then last one is the end device. That means displaying unit. Okay, we sense the data, then we process the data, then we will display the data. This is the three component for every sensing system. We require these three components. One is the sensor, which sense the physical parameter. Then we process that sensing output, that is called the signal conditioning circuit. Then we display or recorded that is called the end device. Every instrumentation system or every sensing system, we require these three components. One is sensor, signal conditioning unit, and end device. What is the end device? That is for the displaying unit, or it may be recording unit, it may be microcontroller, may be anything. Okay. Now this is the sense, means S means sensing, then it will sense the physical parameter efficiently, then it should be network, and this should be specialized, and we can acquire the data everywhere. This is the meaning of sense. Okay. Now, what is the basic difference between the sensor and transducer and the transmitter? In industry, we use that is pressure transmitter, temperature transmitter. Okay, what is the basic difference between sensor and the transducer and the transmitter? Any idea? What is sensor? It will sense. What is transducer? Hmm? It change. What change? Yeah. Any idea?
Then other two devices integrate in electronic mode. Sort of mode.
No. All the sensors are the transducer. What is transducer means? It will transform from one form of energy to the another form of energy in the case of instrumentation and control. That means it is a device which transforms from one form of energy to the another form of energy. Suppose you measure the temperature. Okay, thermocouple, all of you know that thermocouple. The function of the thermocouple is that it will measure the temperature and it will convert output will be the voltage. That means it will temperature is converted to the volt. RTD. The temperature is converted to the change in resistance. Thermistor. The temperature is changes in terms of the change in resistance. That means it will convert one form of energy to the another form of energy. In the case of instrumentation and control, that is transducer. The transducer may be two types. One is the input transducer and the output transducer. Input transducer is the sensors, and the output transducer is the actuators. That is the control valve. That is the basic difference. That means all the sensors are the transducer. All the transducers are the sensor. That is the basic difference between the sensor and transducer. All the sensors are the transducer, but all the transducers are not sensors. That means all input transducers are the sensors, but output transducers are the not sensors. That is the actuators. What is the function of actuator? नाम सुना है? इंडस्ट्री में कंट्रोल वाल्व देखा है? What is the function of the actuator or control valve?
It is like the interface between machines and the user.
Yes. Now that is the output transducer. Electrical or electrical to mechanical. Okay. Now this is the basic difference in transducer. Students, all of you knew that sensors, all the sensors are the transducer, but all the transducers are not sensor. And both have the same function. That means it will convert one form of energy to the another form. Clear? Now this is the basic sensor. There is temperature, thermocouple, RTD, thermistor, light, sound, microphone. These are the basic sensors nowadays. Now this is the classification of the sensors or the transducer. That is the primary, secondary transducer, active, passive transducer. What is the basic difference between primary and secondary transducer? अब नाम सुना है? This is primary, secondary transducer, passive, active transducer. What is the basic difference primary and secondary transducer? How to measure the distance by the help of the LVDT? नाम सुना है LVDT? This is a displacement measurement sensor. Now, for that we use the Gordon tube. The Gordon tube is the primary sensor and the LVDT is the secondary sensor. That means the Gordon tube, it will be convert the pressure to the small displacement. and this small displacement is converted to the voltage by the help of the LVDT. That is, the bottom tube is convert change in pressure to the change in displacement, and the LVDT change in displacement in terms of the change in voltage. Clear? That means LVDT is a secondary transducer and the bottom tube is a primary transducer. Okay. That means in primary transducer the output may or may not be electrical. In bottom tube the output will be in terms of the displacement, not in terms of the voltage. How to convert in voltage? We use the LVDT or the potentiometer you can use. Okay. Then passive and active. The thermocouple is a active transducer. Why? What is the basic principle of thermocouple? What is the basic principle? Now the output of the thermocouple is the change in voltage. If there is a change in temperature, then output will be the change in voltage. Now how? You know that there are various type of thermocouple, J type, K type. Okay, that is depending upon the different material we classify them. That is called the Seebeck effect. All of you know that, I think. Okay. Now this is a active transducer. Passive transducer is, that is RTD is a passive transducer. Now this is the classification of the transducer, different transducer. That is the primary, secondary, analog, digital. Analog transducer means the output of the signal, and the digital transducer means the output will in the digital. I will discuss transducers are there. Now this man and know the English, you need Hindi, English. My to the suitable language, we require some circuit. That circuit is called the signal conditioning circuit. That means the sensor is not sufficient to the end device. That means that suppose the sensor output in the term of millivolt, but your end device require the in terms of the voltage in volt. How to convert? We require amplifier circuit. That amplifier circuit is called the signal conditioning. That means we convert a sensor output to the suitable format which is required for the end device. That is the function of any signal conditioning circuit. All the electronics engineers should design the suitable signal conditioning circuit so that the sensor output can be used by the end device. The next is the output of the sensor may not be suitable format to drive the end device. That means the output of the sensor is suppose analog. Here, end device is suppose digital. That is the microcontroller. The microcontroller requires the digital output. The sensor output is the analog. Now we convert that analog output to the digital output. That means we require the A to D converter. That is called that is the function of the signal conditioning unit. This is the signal conditioning unit. That is the amplification, attenuation, isolation, multiplexing. What is the function of multiplexing? All of you know that? Many to one. That means there are suppose many signals are there. We have to select one by one. For the signal conditioning, we use the multiplexing, filtering. Okay. Then cold junction command. These are the different circuits, electronic circuits generally used for signal conditioning unit. The function of the signal conditioning unit will be convert the output of the sensor to the suitable format which is required for the end device. Clear? Then we go to the smart sensor. What is the basic difference between the traditional sensor and the smart sensor? Okay, in smart sensor, it is an integrated device which in with sensing element, then processor, then all the electronic circuits are integrated in a single module. All the electronic circuits. Suppose I will consider you want to measure the temperature. Okay, your requirement is to measure the temperature. For that you have to choose the sensor. According to our requirement, we have to choose the sensor. Suppose you want to measure the temperature, we use thermistor. The thermistor output will the change in. Suppose there is a change in temperature, the output is change in resistance. Now we measure this change in resistance. How to measure? We use the some circuit, electronic circuit. We use the bridge. Okay, that is Winston bridge. Okay, then the output will the change in voltage. You have to design that Winston bridge to measure the change in temperature. Sorry, change in resistance. If you measure the change in resistance, you can measure the change in temperature. Okay, that means we take the sensor, traditional sensor, then we design the Winston bridge, then we display it, then we transmit. There is a transmitter. All the components are different components. But in smart sensor, all the components are integrated in a single module or single chip. That is called the smart. That means there is a sensor is there, microprocessor is there, signal conditioning circuit is there, antenna is there. All are integrated in a single module or single chip. That is called smart sensor. That means it's are integrated on the same chip. In a single chip, all are. That means suppose we require the digital output, we choose the smart sensor, okay, which produce the digital output. That means inside that smart sensor, A to D converter, then sensor is there, and then for transmitting, there is a transmitter is there. All are integrated. Nowadays, everywhere use. That means it will sense the data and it will transmit through the Wi-Fi or through the Bluetooth or through any communication technology. Zigbee. Okay, that is called the smart sensor. That means all the microprocessors also included. IoT ये प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं तो आप ले रहे क्या आर्डिनो ले देन सेंसर ले आर्डिनो में प्रोग्राम लिख रहे that means we take the separate sensor separate microcontroller then we have to program this but in case of smart sensor all are inbuilt there all are in the single module that means plug and play that is the main difference and it is the another is the size of the smart sensor is very compact size. I will discuss what is that. That means the smart sensor is a module containing the sensor element suitably integrated with the necessary electronics so that output is fully or device. We don't require any signal processing unit or we don't require any signal conditioning circuit. Okay. All circuits inside smart sensor. Inside is called the smart. Okay. I will discuss one by one. This is a sensor that is a crossflow sensor. It is sense the 5 parameters and it will transmit that 5 parameter through the Wi-Fi to any computer or any device. Suppose your phone is Wi-Fi enabled, then we can collect the data from this sensor. Okay. That is why we require the smart sensor. Why? What is the advantage over the traditional sensor? That means then calibration, then communication, okay, then processing. There is a processor is there inside the right. Then compact size, data pre-processing, robust, then self-validation. These are the advantages. Why we choose nowadays the smart sensor over the traditional sensor. This is the main advantage why we choose this smart sensor in IoT as well as in robotics. These are the generation. This is the development of the sensor. That is first generation of the device sensor. Only sensor is there. Then sensor with the some electronics is there. Then sensor with the microprocessor is there. Then this is the different generation of this smart sensor. Then last one is the network sensor. That means inside that sensor, all the modules are there. All the sensing, processor, and signal conditioning circuit. Then battery is there. All things are integrated in a single model. Okay. Now this is the level of integration. The first level of integration is there. The smart sensor with analog or quasi-digital output. Then second level of integration is that smart sensor with digital output. Then third level is the intelligent sensor. The last one is the network sensor. This sensor is generally used for the IoTs and the sensor network. That means it will be acquire the physical parameter, that is, it will measure the physical parameter and transmit them directly. Okay, that is called the network sensor. Now this is the smart sensor with analog. That means we take the traditional sensor, that is the sensing element, traditional sensor. Then we use some analog processing unit, that is the signal conditioning circuit. Then the output will be the analog output signal, that is 1 volt or 5 volt, or in industry standard that is 4 to 20 milliamp. In industry, the output of the transmitter is around 4 to 20 milliamps. Why? This is the, I have the doubt. Why we consider that is 4 to 20 milliamps? Why not that is 0 to 20? Why that is 4? In industry, all the transmitter, that is the pressure transmitter, then temperature transmitter, all the output is in the terms of control room. गया control room में देखा. What are the parameters? Pressure, temperature, humidity, all are in terms of the voltage, that is 4 to 20 milliamps, and the pressure is 3 to 15 psi. Okay, why? Why not that is 0? That is my question. You have to go through the internet and the first level of integration, that is the first generation. That means we have to use the sensing element, traditional sensor, then we use small electronic components, and the output will be in the form of the analog. In this case, there is no processor is there, and there is no communication technology there. And it will give the output in terms of the voltage. There is no processor, nothing is there. That is the first level of integration. Then second is, this is the quasi-digital output. Use the sensing element, then signal conditioning unit, then pulse frequency modulation is there, so that the output will be the quasi-digital in terms of the pulses. That is called the quasi-digital output. The next integration is with the digital output. That means this sensing element is there, then signal conditioning circuit is there, A to D convert. That means so that output will be the digital output. This is the next level of integration. There is the example is the digital sensor. It will sense the temperature and you will produce the output in terms of the digital outcome. Now, this is the that means in this case there is a processor is there, that is the microprocessor or microcontroller is there. That is called the third level of sensor. That means it has the processing capability. It will take the decision. The sensor can take the decision. That's why it is very intelligent. Okay, now this is the sensor element is the signal conditioning circuit, A to D converter, because the processor is required the digital. So that there is A to D converter and data processing unit. That means it may be the microprocessor, maybe microcontroller, maybe DSP processor. There are various processors are there. Okay. Now that means the sensor can take the decision. Okay. And the sensor can process the data. Okay. And the output is the processed data serial or parallel form. Okay. This is the intelligent sensor or the that is the microcontroller or microprocessor memory or IO interfaces. These are the data processing units. The next network sensor. This is very much important. This sensor is nowadays used in the IoT. That means this sensor sends the data, then core operation. It sends the data, then process the data, then transmit the data. Okay, the sensor can sense the data, then process the data and transmit the data to anybody. Okay, that means this sensing element is there, signal conditioning unit there, then A to D converter is data processor, that is microcontroller is there, then communication interface. That in this case we use the communication technologies, that is Wi-Fi, Zigbee, Bluetooth. How we transmit? We use some protocols, some technologies. Okay, then network core. Now this sensor is generally called the network sensor. Nowadays, everywhere use this sensor. That means it will sense the data and transmit. Okay, that means this sensor has the three operations. One is sensing. That means it will sense the and it will be process data by the help of the processor. That is a microcontroller or the that is a microprocessor. Then it will transmit the data through the Wi-Fi or through Zigbee or through Bluetooth. Okay. Now that means these three operations can go by the help of the network. That's why this is a plug and play. Directly you WhatsApp the sensor and use that. It will send the parameter and it will transmit. Yeah, and you have to receive them by through the mobile or any end device or through internet. So now this is a can transmit the data and data. Now this is the basic block diagram of nowadays. That means the power supply, that is the battery is there in the sensor, then sensing element, signal conditioning circuit is there, memory is there, microcontroller is there, A to D converter is there, all are in a single chip only. Now I will show these are the example of the smart sensors. That means it can sense, then process and the transmit. Now this is the testnet. All of you know that. Okay. Now that means it will be sense and it will be transmit the data bit rate to the end device. This is the smart sensor. Now these are the smart sensors. It's a very small size. It is a like a dust particle. Dust sensor is there. Very smart dust is there. Now this is a smart ECG sensor. That means this sensor sends the ECG of the patient and transmit to the doctor directly. That means it will give sense, then it will be process, then it will be transmit. Okay. Now these are the advantage. That is the user convenience because we don't require any designing of the all the inside there. Then performance is high because all the filtering, all the noise cancellation, all electronic circuits are inside the sensor. Then cost is reduced, compact size. Okay, the advantage of the smart sensor. That's why nowadays we use this. These are the technology. How to manufacture the smart sensor? What are the technology we use to manufacture the smart sensor? Okay. Now to manufacture the electronics component, we use this IC technology. To manufacture the that is resistor, capacitor, inductor, that is thick film technology, thin film technology, monolithic ICs. These are the technologies generally used to manufacture the electronics components. Okay. Then how to manufacture the mechanical components? Suppose we want to manufacture the spring, then mirror. Okay. How to manufacture? By the IC technology. There is a different technology there. This is the micro machining process. This is the technology generally used to manufacture the mechanical devices. That is there are different techniques are there. Then nowadays, MEMS. All of you know that micro electromechanical system. This is the technology generally used to manufacture the electronic as well as the mechanical in a chip manner. Okay, that is called the MEMS. That is micro electromechanical system is the combination of electronic components and mechanical components of the micro level time and creates a micro and micro device, electronic device. This is the MEMS technology, all of you know that. That means all mechanical and electronic components are manufactured in the micro dimension. Okay, these are the different technologies generally used to manufacture the smart sensor. Now, what are the software? Now, suppose you want to go through the project, suppose the light control, sorry, traffic light control. For traffic light control, we use the IoT. We can apply the IoT. Okay. Now, for that, we should write some program in the microprocessor or microcontroller or Arduino. Okay. Now for that solution, first is the software must be able to handle multiple flow of data concurrently. Parallel processing should be there. Okay, then real-time constant, low power consumption. That means all the smart sensors are battery operated. So that we have to develop an algorithm so that the power consumption should be minimized. That is the power consumption is very much important. Okay, suppose you use the sensor in the chemical industry. Okay, now in chemical industry, without human being, how to sense the different parameters? Okay, for that we use the sensors. Okay, now regularly to go and change the sensor, it is too difficult. So that we use the sensor in such a manner that is the battery operated sensor which consume less power. So that the lifetime of the sensor should be maximum. For that we write some algorithm. Okay. For the minimize the power supply or to minimize the power consumption and to maximize the lifetime of the sensor. Okay. That is the one of the research area, how to minimize the power consumption of the sensor. Okay. Or you can self-harvest the energy from the renewable energy. The sensor can be collect the energy from the renewable sources. These are the different software solutions. Now, why networking of the smart sensor? Why require the networking of the sensor? Suppose in a robot, more than 100 sensors are there. Okay, we collect all the data from the 100 sensors and transmit. For that, we require the networking of all this. Okay, now for this networking, we use some protocols. Okay, that means this what are the now this is the ordinary sensor, then signal conditioning unit, then A to D converter, then microprocessor, then communication port, then network. That means this network, it may be Wi-Fi enabled network, or it may be the Bluetooth enabled network, or it may be ZigBee, or you directly can turn to the internet. Okay, now that means all the blocks are integrated in a single chip. That's why it is called smart. This is the first situation of the ordinary sensor plus signal conditioning unit, then microprocessor, then interface. That means we take all the individual components and integrate. That is the first level of integration. That is the first situation. Suppose you have the ordinary sensor is there. Okay, then you take the design the signal conditioning circuit. Then you take the microcontroller. Then you take the communication port. Then you connect all these things and you write the program so that it will act as smart sensor or network. It is very difficult. For that, we require the knowledge how to write the program, then how to connect or how to design the electronic circuit. Okay, this is very much difficult. That means only expert can be good. That is the main thing. That means you have the knowledge. That means you have the knowledge to design the electronic circuit. You have the knowledge to interface the communication port. Okay, and you have the knowledge to write the program in the microprocessor. Okay. Now another is that network sensor directly you take the smart sensor or network sensor and send the data to the network, any network. That is called plug and play. This is very simple. This is the smart sensor network. That means this is the smart network sensor. It will sense the data, process the data, and transmit direct. If this network is the Wi-Fi enabled, then we use the Wi-Fi enabled sensor. If it is the ZigBee, then you select the ZigBee, or if it is Bluetooth, you can select the ZigBee enabled smart sensor. Okay. Now this is another type of situation. This is IEEE 1451 interface. This is also another technique how to sense the data, then process the data and transmit the data to the different network. This is also a plug and play system because we use the IEEE standard that is 1451. Then what are the technology? That is the networks. All of you know that RS-422, RS-485 mod block. This is generally used for the industry. Industry automation. We use the field bus, mod bus, HART. All are used in the industry. That is the industry automation. These are the protocol wired protocol. That means in this case, the sensor is connected through the cable. In industry, most of the sensors are connected in the cable. That's why we use that RS. What is the full form of RS? RS 422, 485. All of you use that RS 422, 485. Now maybe sooner. Recommended standard. Okay. Now the mod bus, foundation field bus, then control area network, non-local operation. Generally the wired protocols, communication protocols. That means we can communicate sensor with sensor through the cable. Then what are the wireless network protocols? These are the generally used in the industry. That is the foundation field bus. That is very much mostly used in the industry. Then mod bus is also used in the industry. HART, it is also used in the industry automation. Then what are the? This is the wireless network standard. All of you know that body area network. What is the meaning of the body area? That is remote health monitoring. Suppose we place the sensor inside the body or on the body of the patient, then we collect the data, different parameters. Okay, that is called the body area network. That means all the sensors are network and it will be collect the parameter, all the parameter and transform. That is called the body area network. Then body sensor network, medical body functional area network. There is wide area network, local area network. These are the LAN. All of you know that. Wi-Fi is a wireless LAN. Ethernet is a wired LAN. Yes or no? The local area network, that is the wired LAN means Ethernet and the wireless is the Wi-Fi. Now this is the wireless standard. That is the wireless LAN, that is the Wi-Fi, that is 0.11. A, B, C, there are various variant are there. Okay. Then 8.11.1, that is called the Bluetooth. These are the standards, IEEE standard. All of you know that. You go through that. That is GP is there. Then Wi-Fi is there. These are all are. Okay. Now then the ISM band. Now we have to develop a sensor, a smart sensor working in the license free band. You know the 2G spectrum. This is the license. We require the license. Okay. But some frequency bands are there which are not required for license. That is called the license free bands. ISM band. This ISM means industry, scientific, and medical purpose. This frequency band, this spectrum is generally used for scientific purposes or medical use. This is the license free band. There are three bands. One is the 900 and 5 gigahertz. These are the three bands. Generally, the license free band. That is Wi-Fi is also working in the license free band. That's why we can use the Bluetooth, the Wi-Fi without any license. License free. This is the frequency band, which is the license free, and this is called the ISM band. Okay, clear. That means all the sensors we operate in this band. We don't require the license. That is, it is sensor maybe 900 gigahertz or 2.4 or 2.5 gigahertz band, 5 or 6 gigahertz band. We have to use some technique or the protocols or the communication protocols technologies. Those who are working on this one. Okay, that's why we don't require any license for this to use this band. That's why called the ISM band. All the sensors, all the smart sensors are generally use this ISM band. Now, these are the technology of the protocols generally used for the wireless network. That is called the Wi-Fi. This is the IEEE standard. The Zigbee, Bluetooth, wireless HART. These are the different techniques or the communication protocols generally used for the smart sensors. And all the technology of the protocols working on the ISM band because we don't require any license for using this band. These are the description of what is Wi-Fi and what are the basic advantages. Then what is the major issues for the Wi-Fi discussed. Then Bluetooth. All of them in Bluetooth that the distance is very limited. That's why you go to the Wi-Fi. And the Zigbee. They generally most of the popularly used that is Zigbee because Zigbee that the high security is there. This is the Zigbee generally used for the network sensor. This technology or this protocol is generally used because low bandwidth, low latency, long battery life. This is the main advantage of this protocol. That means it will be consumed less power so that the lifetime of the network or the sensor will be maximized. These are the different. Now this is the comparison between the different standards. Okay. Now depending upon your application, you choose the sensor. Okay, and you choose the depending upon the specification, you choose the sensor. Okay, the first is that depending upon the application, you choose the sensor. What should be the range? Okay, what should be the bit rate? Okay, depending upon that, you have to choose the protocols or the sensors. Now these are the then what is wireless sensor network? That means wireless sensor network or IoT or robotics. Everywhere there is a sensor. That is the smart sensor or the traditional sensor. What is wireless sensor network? That means it is the network of the large number of sensors, and it will collect the sense that transmit the data through the by using some wireless medium. Okay, that is the RF. Okay, radio frequency. Okay, now that means the sensor network has the it is a special kind of network, large. What is wireless sensor node? That means it will sense, process, and transmit. Okay. Now this is the wireless sensor network. Then nowadays, this is the application. We use this is environment monitoring, healthcare, disaster mitigation, industrial application, everywhere we use that. Okay. Then what are the challenges? Main challenges in IoT is what is the main challenges in IoT? Yeah. Nowadays, everywhere we use the IoT. What is the main challenge? IoT का क्या challenges? Main challenges. आपका डाटा सिक्योर करके रखना डाटा सिक्योरिटी वेरी मच इम्पोर्टेंट आप तो डाटा कलेक्ट कर रहे हैं और ट्रांसमिट कर रहे हैं वही तो आपका डाटा को एक्सेस कर सकते दैट इज द मेन चैलेंजेस इन इंडस्ट्री ऑल्सो आपका इंडस्ट्री में कोई डाटा को आप कोई 5% सपोज एक्सेस कर रहा है वो कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं वो डाटा तो आपका प्रोडक्शन में भी प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा दैट मीन्स दैट इज द मेन प्रॉब्लम इन IoT मेन challenges in IoT okay that's why many of the researchers are working on that. This is the simple experiment. Suppose I want to measure the temperature, light, and humidity of this lecture hall building. I use the smart sensor. I keep the smart sensor. In this room, I keep one sensor. Every room, I will keep one smart sensor. And in ground floor, I use the my that is the desktop and collect all this stuff. This graphical user interface is designed by the help of the lab view. नाम सुना होगा, that is lab view. Okay, I designed that. That means I collect the data. Suppose one in room number one, all the data are collected. Okay, all the sensors are the wireless sensor. Okay, it will collect all the 4 parameters and transmit it. I will collect and display in my desktop. If I send this data to the internet, that is called the IoT. That is the basic difference. This sensor network is the part of the IoT. Okay, if the output of the sensor network is sent to the internet, that is converted to the IoT. That is the basic difference. The sensor network and the IoT. In sensor network, we collect the data and display in the local. But in case of IoT, we send the data to the internet and we can access that data anywhere. Okay. Now this is the sensor. Let's discuss. Now this is the sensor network. There are different sensors are there, and the thing node is your desktop. We collect this data. Now this is the environment monitoring. That means we can monitor the environment, that is monitoring the movement of a wild animal and migrated bird. We use the sensor network. Okay. That is the how to count the migrated birds. Okay. All these things. For that we use the sensor is the some detector for collecting this data. Then disaster mitigation. Forest fire. कहाँ पे आपका? We measure the temperature of the forest. According to that we take the. Okay. Now this is called the one of the main application of the IoT. Then industrial application, that is automation. We use that process monitoring and control. We use the sensor network. That means we use the more than thousands of sensors. Okay, and we have to network and collect this data. This is the industrial processing. Okay. Then we use the smart breeze. We can use this healthcare. That means we can collect the parameter of the different parameter of the patient and it will directly transmit to the doctor, and the doctor will take the decision and give his decision to the patient directly. Okay, that is from the healthcare. Patient monitoring, smart surrounding. These are the application of the WSN. Then automotive and traffic care. Okay, nowadays in every luxurious car we use the sensors. Okay, auto parking is there. Okay, for that we use that is sensor network. And in this case, this is the suppose this is the application how to choose the sensor. That means as our requirement we send to the sensors. Then we use that. Then battlefield, target tracking, surveillance. These are the we use in the defense also. Precision agriculture in Punjab, the WSN is generally used for the agriculture, precision agriculture. Okay, they use the sensor to measure the humidity, whether the field is required watering or not. Okay, from the sensor data, they will decide. That is called the precision agriculture. For fertilizer, for pesticide, we use the. Then smart street lighting. We use the WSN. The sensor in the human body. Now you say. Now we use the different sensors. That is the tracking. Then all the sensors are placed in the body. Then we collect the data. Now this is all our Zigbee or the Bluetooth channels. Okay, and this data is given to the Bluetooth. Up to this will be the WSN. Then if this data is connected to the internet, then it will convert to the IoT. Clear? This part, up to this part is the WSN. That is the wireless sensor network. If this data, the collected data is sent to the internet through the VPRA, then this is called the IoT. In IoT, we can collect the data anywhere. Now, this is the Immersion wireless plant solution. That is the industrial automation where we use the wireless sensor network. This is Honeywell. This is the wireless sensor network. That means field work. In this case, the technology is used, protocol is used the field work. Now, all of you know that in our campus also, they aren't enabled to know it. Then Internet of Things. Now, all of you know that the Internet of Things is a network of physical objects can be with each other to share the information. So we have to let the network, let the data collaboratively and send to the internet. And we can access that data anywhere, everywhere. That is called the Internet of Things. Internet of Things में आपका सेंसर हो सकता है, आपका लैपटॉप हो सकता है, मोबाइल हो, anything. That's the Internet of Things. Okay. Now the what is the all of you know that this is the definition. What is the IoT difference person with this definition? Now, what is the basic architecture of any IoT is that? What is that? First level of hierarchy is that sensor. Then second hierarchy is that the sensor data is sent to the internet. We have to management is there in application. These are the hierarchy of IoT architecture. Then what is the basic difference between the IoT and WSN? Is the that means the WSN is the subset of IoT. That means the WSN is the part of a IoT. If the WSN output is connected to the internet, if the WSN data is sent to the internet, then it will be converted to the. That means the WSN is the subset of the IoT. Okay, clear? Now this is the IoT. What that means? This is WSN. Suppose this is the gateway. Use this one gateway that is DPRS and send to the internet. Then this will be converted to that. Okay. Now this is the future of IoT. Application different nowadays everywhere. Industrial automation, smart health, smart home, smart city. Everywhere we use it. For supply chain, we use the IoT. This small project of the application of IoT is in the shopping mall. Car parking, we use the. This is the criticism and the controversy of the IoT. That means this is the main challenges. What is the privacy? That is very much important. Now, many of the people were working on it. आपका डाटा प्राइवेसी रहना चाहिए. अब डाटा इंटरनेट पे चला गया तो कोई भी एक्सेस कर सकता. So that is the main thing. Now research is going on. जितना अच्छा है IoT जैसे AI. AI is nowadays we use the AI and ML. What is the main drawback of AI and ML? What is the drawback? Everywhere you use the AI and ML. What is the drawback? Huh? Yeah? That is the main thing. That means these two things, that is privacy and security, and challenges in the IoT nowadays. You can working on that. How to secure your data? What are the data you collect and send to the internet? That should be secure. Nobody should access that. Only the that is the person who required that data. Other person should not be able to access that. That is the main thing. Now the research is going on these two things, that privacy and the security. Now, thank you. Any doubts?
Any doubts?
Network sensor is the sensor can transmit data. Another sensor can be transmitted by using some network protocol. That is why or GP. That means antenna is there. Is good the protocol. And the data can be transmitted to anywhere by using some function. That's why it's called the network sensor. That means it will send the process and transmit them. And you know extra circuits for transmitting the data. That means you can do all these. और ऑब्वियस also टेम्पलेट सेंसर का टेम्पलेट डेटा को टेम्पलेट करते हैं हाँ वो उनको टेम्पलेट करते हैं इसलिए तो प्राइवेसी एंड करेगी आप डेटा दे दिया इंटरनेट में है आप कोई भी उनको टेम्पलेट कर सकते आपका बैंक अकाउंट हैक कर सकते हैं तो वो क्या दैट इज द मेन थिंग you have to write some encryption technique to secure the data. There be hardcore. You have to आपका डिजिटल को कन्वर्ट कर दे डिजिटल डाटा को कन्वर्ट कर अब जो डाटा आप जो भी जो ये कर रहे हैं पर क्या है डिजिटल डाटा पर आपका डाटा करना बहुत और देयर इज सम सेंस ऑफ ऑर्डर के डाटा को ये इसलिए तो प्रॉब्लम रिसेंटली कंडीशन कोई किसी का डाटा आप दे दो जिसका मोबाइल आप हाथ तो उनका डाटा को आप ये बैंक में इतना सिक्योर है फिर भी हाथ डाल तो वो जो सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर्स है बहुत सारा यही काम कर रहे हैं प्राइवेसी रहना ये मेन प्रॉब्लम चैलेंजेस वही तो काम चल रहे हैं वही इंटरनेट में आईओटी में चल रहा है काम अदरवाइज और आईओटी में क्या काम आप सेंसर लो ये काम पर लेकिन वही तो जब तक सीखो रखना है कोई इंडस्ट्री ऑटोमेशन इंडस्ट्री में आईओटी यूज नहीं हो रहा है वो मनाली में चल रहा है क्योंकि उनके डाटा कोई ये करेंगे ना उनका प्रोडक्शन में प्रॉब्लम कोई लैपटॉप लेके बैठेगा उनका बाउंड्री में डाटा सब कलेक्ट करके उनको कंट्रोल सिग्नल देंगे क्या होगा उनका इंडस्ट्री के
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session, an interactive session. Now I'd like to call upon Dr. Vijay Kumar Dalla, sir,